Okay, let's unpack this. The source material for this deep dive, it really paints a picture of a nation undergoing this massive green transformation.
It really does.
But it feels like they're dealing with this acute awareness of their own history. We're not just talking about one new policy.
No, not at all.
We're looking at colossal infrastructure investment, scientific breakthroughs that, frankly, feel like science fiction, and even using AI to fight crime.
Environmental crime specifically.
Right. We are diving deep into Italy, and their whole approach to sustainability is just fascinating. It feels like they're tackling the weight of the past head on with the technology of the future.
And what's truly compelling here is how Italy is integrating this shift. They aren't just treating sustainability as, a regulatory burden or an environmental goal.
It's more than that.
It's a holistic economic, quality of life, and technological opportunity. Our mission is to connect these diverse dots, from how they're insulating ancient homes to storing excess renewable energy, and figure out what this means globally for any country trying to square that circle.
That circle of historical infrastructure versus modern green mandates.
Exactly.
And the source stack for this is so deep and eclectic. We've got blueprints for home renovations that use specialized paint, reports on these futuristic heating systems,
The CO2 and sand batteries?
massive batteries, data on how consumer behavior is shifting, recycling breakthroughs, and get this, even placing solar panels on the seafloor.
It really is a comprehensive national effort.
So let's start with what's arguably the biggest hurdle, the housing stock. This is where it gets really interesting.
It's a huge challenge.
Italy is tackling its residential housing head-on to meet the EU's Green Homes Directive. They've already cut residential energy consumption by 9.1%.
Which is impressive, but they need another 6.9% by 2030.
And that 6.9% is the hard part.
It is. And to put that number into context, you have to look at the age of the buildings. 52% of Italy's 18.5 million homes are in the lowest, most inefficient energy classes, F and G.
These are old, thermally leaky buildings.
Exactly. And compounding that, a critical 68% of residential heating still relies entirely on fossil fuels. So that 6.9% gap, you don't close that by just changing light bulbs.
Now, this requires deep structural renovation, and the government seems to know it. The plan detailed in the sources, it requires this phenomenal investment of
84.8 billion euros.
84.8 billion between 2025 and 2030. That's meant to transform about 3 million homes.
Yeah.
That works out to around 505,000 properties a year.
Which is like upgrading an entire major European city's housing stock every single year for half a decade.
Wow.
And the payoff isn't just climate targets. This is basically an economic stimulus package disguised as a green policy. The sources project an economic boost of 280 billion
280 billion.
and the creation of 1.3 million jobs. But maybe most critically, this isn't just about GDP, it's about social well-being.
How so?
Well, the policy directly addresses energy poverty. 9% of Italian households face it, which is the highest rate in a decade. Reducing consumption saves money for the most vulnerable people.
And that urgency, it seems to be driving shifts in citizen behavior too.
Yeah.
We see an overall drop in national electricity consumption.
A 1.1% contraction in the first 5 months of 2025 alone.
And my biggest takeaway from the data was that this drop, it isn't just from installing new tech like solar panels and heat pumps. It's also just changing habits.
People are conscious of their utility bills and the environmental impact.
They're making active choices.
But that behavior change is only sustainable if the framework supporting it actually works. So how are they ensuring this massive multi-billion-euro effort succeeds on the ground?
That's the key question.
The roadmap highlights a few things. First, they're tailoring incentives based on income. Second, they're prioritizing primary residences over...
That's our vacation homes or Airbnbs.
Exactly. And third, maybe most importantly, they're simplifying the legal procedures, especially for multi-unit apartment buildings where getting everyone to agree is a nightmare.
And finally, a big focus on professional training.
A very serious focus to prevent shoddy work and supply chain bottlenecks.
So the housing goal requires these traditional deep upgrades. But Italy isn't just stuck on cladding and windows. They're also innovating wildly in pure energy tech.
Things that can be integrated right into that existing infrastructure.
Exactly. Let's talk about 3 of them. 1 for heating, and 2 for massive utility-scale energy storage.
Let's start with heating because it ties right back to that challenge of upgrading old homes, especially ones under historical preservation rules, where you can't just,
You can't just bolt external insulation onto a Renaissance-era facade.
Precisely.
That's the exact context. So researchers developed this specialized graphene-infused paint. It effectively turns your walls and ceilings into highly efficient heating elements.
Forget radiators blowing hot air. This uses the Joule effect.
So how does that work?
Graphene is an incredible conductor, so it lets you run a low-voltage electrical current across a massive surface area, your whole wall, to produce heat. It's resistive heating, but done with phenomenal efficiency.
And it's radiant heat, so it warms you, not just the air around you.
Right. And it's silent, and tests show up to a 40% energy reduction compared to traditional radiators. Plus, it's ideal for damp-prone older buildings because it actively reduces moisture and mold.
That's a huge deal for historic city centers. Okay, but moving from inside the home to the grid-scale challenge, storing massive amounts of energy.
For when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing.
And they're tackling this with two solutions that avoid relying just on traditional battery chemistry.
Yes. First up is the CO2 battery from a startup called Energy Dome. It's so robust that Google actually partnered with them.
Google did, okay.
It's an elegant concept using thermodynamics. When you have lots of renewable power, you use it to compress CO2 gas into large tanks. When you need power, you release the gas, it expands, and it drives a turbine.
And the key thing here seems to be the long-duration aspect. This isn't for quick bursts of power.
No, this is for storing energy economically for hours, even days. It's what the grid needs to make renewables reliable. And it uses readily available components, no rare earth minerals.
Okay, that's ingenious. What's the second one?
The second one is equally clever, the sand battery. Officially, it's called MGTES, an industrial-scale fluidized sand thermal battery.
A sand battery? How on earth does a sand battery work? That sounds like something from a sci-fi movie.
The mechanism is surprisingly straightforward. You use excess renewable electricity to heat silica sand up to about 400 degrees Celsius.
Wow, okay.
That heat is then stored very efficiently. When an industrial process needs heat, say, for making concrete or paper, the sand releases high-temperature steam on demand.
So it's a way to decarbonize heavy industry.
It's directly aimed at replacing natural gas in sectors with heavy thermal demand.
So they're efficient using energy, they're innovating storage, fantastic.
Mm.
But what about the other side of the circular economy? Waste.
Right.
Italy is going after waste streams
Yeah.
that were previously just deemed unrecyclable. And let's start with maybe the most challenging one. Absorbent hygiene products.
Diapers.
Diapers, yeah.
This is where the sheer audacity comes in. For decades, these products, diapers, sanitary pads, they're a composite of plastics, cellulose, polymers. And because they're biocontaminated, they all went straight to landfill or incinerators.
It was considered a technological impossibility to recycle them.
Pretty much.
But they built the world's first large-scale industrial plant to do just that. Walk us through how they do it.
Well, the process is meticulous. First, the waste is completely sterilized at high pressure and temperature. No bacteria, no odors. Then advanced mechanical systems take over and separate the materials with incredibly high purity.
So you get pure streams of plastic, cellulose.
And super absorbent polymers. All three are then ready to be reintroduced into manufacturing. This diverts millions of tons from landfill and, crucially, turns a major pollutant into a secure domestic source of raw materials.
That is the definition of a circular economy breakthrough.
It really is.
Now let's shift to a success story that also reveals some challenges. Glass recycling. Italy's already a leader, hitting an 80.3% recycling rate.
Which is well ahead of the EU's 2030 target of 75%. That rate saves the equivalent of 394 million cubic meters of natural gas a year.
It's a national success story.
Mm.
But the sources highlight a question. If the national average is 40 kilograms of glass per person, why is there such a massive regional disparity?
I noticed that data point.
The collection rates range drastically, from 62 kilos per person in the Aosta Valley in the north down to just 28 kilos in Sicily.
Exactly. And why the discrepancy? It's not necessarily cultural. It's often about infrastructure and logistics.
It's easier in dense cities.
Right. It's easier to implement effective collection in a modern city than in geographically challenging rural areas where the systems just haven't had the same investment. And innovation is key there too. AI is being integrated into glass processing to sort materials faster and push efficiency everywhere.
And that leads us perfectly from waste processing to policing waste. The illegal waste trade is a huge problem.
A multi-billion-euro problem globally.
And Italy responded by developing something called Perivalon, an AI and satellite imagery system backed by the EU's Horizon Europe program.
This is a powerful example of high-tech defense for the environment. It uses computer vision algorithms to correlate satellite imagery, drone surveys, and online monitoring. It's a data synthesis operation.
And the accuracy is incredible. In tests, it detected illegal dump sites with over 90% accuracy.
It's designed to spot the subtle shifts in land use, the early warning signs that a human investigator might miss.
And it's not just software, is it?
No, it's an entire ecosystem. The project includes a robust training component for police, prosecutors, and inspectors. They're essentially creating a globally trained task force to fight what is often an internationally organized crime.
So these green changes aren't just happening via massive infrastructure and AI. They're also deeply rooted in local communities.
The Made in Italy quality applied to the landscape itself.
Yes. Let's talk about the Spy Verde or Green Spikes Awards.
This is a wonderful program, similar to the Blue Flag Awards for beaches. It recognizes rural municipalities, 90 towns in 2025, for their commitment to sustainable land management.
And the criteria are exceptionally rigorous, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about planting a few trees.
Not at all. Towns are assessed on everything from waste management and water treatment to urban beautification, support for local agriculture, and genuine community engagement. It's proving to be transformative for these towns.
Turning them into ambassadors for sustainable rural living.
Exactly. And moving from the rural to the urban, you have cities like Bologna, Milan, and Venice embracing green makeovers for their rivers and canals.
Through the Free Rivers Italy network.
Right. They're reimagining urban movement. Those waterways used to be industrial arteries.
And now they're being transformed into low-impact tourism and transport routes, using zero-emission vessels, electric boats, kayaks.
It relieves urban congestion, improves air quality, and creates a different kind of visitor experience. It's blending historical infrastructure with cutting-edge sustainability.
Which brings us to our final piece of ingenuity, the new frontier of solar. Italian CNR researchers are looking below the surface of the sea.
It seems counterintuitive at first.
It really does. They adapted a specialized perovskite crystal to generate power on the seabed. My first thought is, how does salt water not just destroy everything?
That's the exact challenge they solved with material science. They protected the cells with a unique hydrophobic polymer adhesive. But the reason they believe it can be more effective underwater than on a rooftop comes down to two specific advantages of the marine environment.
Okay, what are they?
First, the deep ocean is a massive natural heat sink. It prevents overheating, which is a common problem that kills efficiency in conventional solar cells.
A second.
The ocean acts as a natural light filter, leaving mostly blue and green light. And this specific perovskite crystal is engineered to absorb that blue and green light almost perfectly. The ocean provides the ideal light and thermal environment for it to thrive.
For now, it's small scale, I assume.
Very. Powering underwater sensors, monitoring devices for the Internet of Things, creating self-sustaining marine monitoring networks.
So if we connect all of this, all these diverse projects, back to the bigger picture, the sources identify that this commitment is really being driven by clear consumer forces.
Absolutely. Quality is a huge one. 69.6% of consumers see it as decisive. Then environmental concern and ethics. Sustainability is no longer a niche choice for them.
It's a prerequisite for quality.
It is. Whether in the food they buy or in a home, where 48% of people see sustainability as a decisive factor for purchasing.
So what does this all mean? Italy's demonstrating that the green transition isn't a mandatory trade-off that hurts the economy.
Not at all.
Instead, it's a massive economic driver. It generates jobs, reduces waste, helps fight crime, and fuels incredible technological invention from the ground up.
And now from the seabed up.
It really proves that technological futurism can flourish even within the constraints of ancient infrastructure and deep cultural history.
So consider this for you listening. If a country is willing to invest nearly 85 billion euros into upgrading its aging housing stock, recognizing that the long-term benefits outweigh the costs, and at the same time, they're finding ways to recycle the most difficult household trash like diapers, what does that suggest about the necessity and the inherent economic viability of committing to a truly circular economy across every single industry globally?
It suggests they're making the hard choices first.